Phantom Troupe is a group of opportunistic thieves who take what they want, when they want, and will gleefully eliminate any that stand in their way. As such, they are considered one of the most dangerous criminal groups in the world of Hunter x Hunter. Even organized mafia factions fear and revere just how dangerous they are. But what if the Troupe went down the organization route themselves? Instead of being a lone group, a faction under the greater umbrella of the Hunter organization. I could see two possibilities of how they might find themselves on this path. The first is simply hearing about it through the grapevine. This would be while living in Meteor City, or during the 3 years of preparation Chrollo takes before pursuing Saras's killers. The second is Renko, Saras's embalmer and Machi's Nen mentor. Machi would as a child be able to see the aura around Renko, who used her Nen abilities for her embalming technique. When she realized Machi could naturally see aura, she told her to seek her out and she'd tell her a thing or two about it. So we could say that as these two talked either during or after this encounter, that Renko would bring up being a part of the Hunter organization. We don't know if she actually is, but there's the possibility, and it could lead to Machi telling Chrollo, or even just the rest of what will become the Troupe, and Chrollo factoring in that information. Now, we don't know really much about the early days of the Spider. Really all we know is that the lineup we've seen in the press and the story wasn't the original, and that the impetus for them forming was the murder of their friend Sarasa. But here, let's say Chrollo did still want to take advantage of the information flying about, and Meteor City's lawless nature to use it as a hub to attract criminals. To that end, he'd use the access and connections being a part of the Hunter Association would give him. So, after the 3 years, he'd tell the Troupe that their first step would be for them to all get their Hunter licenses, which I think they would. It's wholly possible that the Troupe themselves come out as the only ones to pass, which I think would be pretty cool. Of course, you don't know exactly how they'd fare, as the exams do change every year, that being locations and conditions, but they are all scrappy, resourceful in different ways, and are used to fighting and navigating poor conditions living in Meteor City. They'd be able to grit and adapt through a lot. I'd also say they should be generally pretty strong and while not trained able to fight. They also may have knowledgeable and varying use of Nen. Machi likely would have taken Renko up on her offer during the 3 years, but how much and how fast she progressed during that time is unknown. Though considering her ability to perceive aura with no knowledge of it, she should be a Nen genius of sorts, and is likely one of the most adept and knowledgeable within the Troupe, even in the current story. We don't know about anyone else's possible process, impetus, or teachers in Nen, but I think it's possible either Machi or the Meteor City Elder could teach them. Machi could reverse engineer her training as well as give any further information she knows about Nen. And Chrollo, during his Heaven's Arena match, used an ability he stole from a Meteor City Elder, Sun and Moon. We don't know anything about the Elder besides from this ability, but still, them being able to wield Hatsu is a good sign. Both of these I think could genuinely have been a part of the canon way the Troupe learned Nen. If they do have some access to Nen, good on them. They clear the exam even easier. If they don't, I could see Renko, the Elder, or someone just being in Meteor City going to mentor the group as part of the second stage of the initial exam, and the Troupe are off together, so it'd be all at once. But what happens after they become hunters? Well, I think they'd actually, similarly to Kurapika, become blacklist hunters. Well, blacklist / treasure hunters. It's still like, stuff. Essentially, they'd use the access to information via the Hunter website and overall connections to enact their plans much more easily. Finding and tracking individuals and events, gaining access into the underworld would be way easier, on top of the fact that they are actively doing their job. There's also the events and treasures they could get their hands on. After all, like I said, they'd still be opportunists. They'd even be able to find out about events akin to the York New Auction way easier. Yes, we did see them access the Hunter website in canon, but them all being official hunters overall gives them more access and connections way more easily. So they aren't going to be getting together once every however many months. They'll have way more work on their hands, and if they do want to do illegal stuff, as long as they skirt around the Hunter bylaws and keep it on the low, it's whatever, If they get pointed in the right direction after putting in the work, it's also possible they could get ahead in terms of just making Meteor City a better place and more recognized. We've seen hunters with great political power, sway, and again, connections. As for individuals, I want to go over their individual hunter titles. The Troupe itself would be blacklist / treasure hunter group, but still considering their characters and individual interests, what type of hunters would they be? I'm also not going to go over any treasure and money general roles because the group is already doing that. So first, Chrollo. Skill Hunter. I mean, it's funny. His ability is literally called Skill Hunter, so. Essentially, his personal focus would be fighting powerful end users as a means to add abilities to his book, as well as meet and observe other people and gain access to their psyche by analyzing their abilities when he has them. It's a completely personal and self-contained motif for his brand of hunter, but it also helps the end of him being the leader of the spiders. You could also possibly count him as a headhunter, one who looks to discover and cultivate new talents, only in this case, Crollo is stealing the talents to cultivate for himself. Machi, Virus Hunter. She's the only one of the troupe with any medical ability or prowess in the form of her ability to stitch wounds and body parts, and she began her nen journey under the tutelage of an embalmer, so I think a position regarding the human body and its condition, like a Virus Hunter, which works in a medical field and against diseases, could fit and lead to her overall ability to heal and comprehension of the physical form being strengthened. Phaeton, Terrorist Hunter. I picked this for Phaeton specifically for the idea of him being able to torture hardcore extremist groups where the information regarding them is extremely valuable and whose members would likely not be very willing to talk. Basically, Phaeton gets to put some work in doing something he really enjoys and gets highly coveted and valued information out of it. Shalnark, Hacker Hunter. Being the troupe's resident guy in the chair, I think Shalnark would do well in a field regarding cybercrimes and information. Shizuku. Due to her dopey personality and the form her Hatsu comes in, that being a dopey, semi-sentient vacuum, I'd say Shizuku could be a cute hunter. Though, while this title is supposedly designated toward one that specializes in the attempt to maintain beauty, I think for Shizuku it'd just be looking for cute things on occasion. Bono Lenov. Due to his respect for his tribe and culture, and the fact that he had to bear his clan being wiped out and forced off their lands, I think he'd be a ruins hunter, scouring for lost relics and artifacts of lost peoples. Of course, due to the fact that he's even in the Phantom Troupe, a group that themselves practices in genocide, I don't think he's going to try to connect those to the greater world or any connected communities, rather just keep them for himself. Paku. Since childhood, Pakunoda has had a keen ability to read and analyze people, no doubt informing the later creation of her Hatsu ability that allows her to access thoughts and memories. So, playing into the themes of understanding, I decided upon a paleograph hunter, one who specializes in finding and translating lost languages, this allowing her to bring light to and understand the thoughts, beliefs, and goings-on of the people of the past. Sphinx. I'd also put him as a ruin/relic hunter, specifically because of that ancient Egyptian fit that looks like he boosted right out of a pharaoh's tomb. Uvogin, Beast Hunter. It's a hunter that specializes in finding and identifying previously unearthed or even mythical type creatures out in the wild. Uvo would do it solely to find and fight strong creatures, and then probably eat them after he's done killing them, or while he's fighting them based on his fight with the Shadow Beast. Nobunaga. Because of his ancient Japanese samurai vibe, I kinda wanted to give him runes and relics, which I could see him appreciating for himself like Bonolenov, but there's also the possibility of him teaming up with Uvo to be a beast hunter and fighting strong creatures alongside his pal. Franklin, Gourmet Hunter. Is it just me, or does Franklin give off kind of cook vibes to anyone else? Also could use his gun fingers to go hunting for game. It's a total vibes only answer, and not really based on anything we've seen from him, but I wonder if anyone gets a similar vibe. Of course, you can also let me know if you have a different idea. Cortopi, Card Hunter. A designation of a hunter that searches for rare cards. A title held only by this one character from Hunter x Hunter video games. Fun fact, there are multiple Yu-Gi-Oh references in this character. His name, Ogyu, being an anagram for Yu-Gi-Oh, his designation as a card hunter, and his design was actually created by Kazuki Takahashi, Yu-Gi-Oh's mangaka. But anyway, the reason I picked this is because I feel like he'd be in the Yu-Gi-Oh. But with that, how about some closing thoughts? Do I think they'd still do the Kurta Massacre? No. While these versions of the Phantom Troupe aren't good guys, still being in it can be for their own game, I don't see them actively committing acts that swing so far on the chaotic evil side. Sure, they'll get heinous a bit every now and then, down to break some laws and all, but nothing so out loud and evil to raise the association to red flags. Do they participate in the Palace Raid? I don't think so. They have unique abilities that could help, but they'd likely be contained in Meteor City, guarding against threats like Zazan. Would any of them join the Zodiacs? Definitely wouldn't be multiple. But maybe Crollo does it, getting into the chairman's good graces and having greater clout in the association. I could see Netero having fun with it, being able to call on Crollo to spar as well as dangling the chance to steal his ability. I also think he'd use Crollo's position to get the other troupe members by extension involved, giving him even more fun sparring mates. To be honest, I think the troupe could do well as hunters, especially when you have people like Hisoka, who himself even participated in some troupe activities, and he still has his license. In canon, I'd say the only reason they didn't is just their ultimate desire for freedom and to follow their own rules, but again, Hisoka does that already. I mean, seriously, I think it could have been a pretty big asset. Maybe you could just lay off a few genocides, and you're good.